All right, so thank you guys for sharing your time with me and coming to the week one class meeting for Module 152. Um, Module 152, guys, starting off the coding adventure. Okay, this is where we start in the next couple of weeks. Y'all are going to really start to get into those coding manuals, your physical manuals that were sent to you, and we're gonna be diving deep into that. Thankfully, I am told that I'm really good at teaching coding, so yay. Yay for that. I try to break it down and make it as simple a process as I can. Um, but it is a process. It is a process. It takes some thought and some, paying attention to what you're reading and things like that. So what we're going to do today, we're going to get y'all ready to step into coding. And what I mean by that, I'm going to show you, we're going to talk about the three manuals that y'all got in the mail, your coding manuals, what they are, and how to set them up for the best use to make it, to save y'all time is essentially what I want to do. Because it can be, if, like, let's just take, for example, the first one you're going to get into, okay? ICD-10-CM. This book is massive, okay? It is super heavy, it is super thick, and it contains a lot of information, a lot of information. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about how to set this book up so that it doesn't take you so long to go flipping through here and finding the information that you need. And let's see, let me share my screen. There's not really like a formal presentation for today, but I am going to show you guys some slides that are going to kind of help to show what I'm talking about here. All right, so like I was saying, the first book that your curriculum is going to introduce you to is going to be your ICD-10 CM, and that again is this big thick one I just brought up. You also have HCPCS Level 2, which is Medicare codes. Okay, not too bad this one. This one's pretty thick. This is just, but that's just for Medicare. All right, and then you have your CPT manual. Okay, the yellow one. And I know this is a 2021. Some of y'all may have 2023s. That's fine. I have a 2023 somewhere, and it's already labeled, but I can't find it. It's still packed up. So the process for using these manuals is pretty much the same for all of them. Okay, and the first thing you want to do is get familiar. Like, actually get in there, look around, play with it, look up different things. Just maybe something. The first time I had a coding manual in my hand, I looked up diabetes just to see what it said. Excuse me. No fighting with sinus infections and stuff. But the first thing you want to do is get familiar with it and label it. And as y'all can see on the screen right here, I have mine labeled, basically written out which each section is. And I start at the very front. In the ICD-10, in all of your manuals, there's several sections. You have an alphabetic index, and then you have what's called a tabular section, okay? And your alphabetic index is where you're always going to start. So that's what I like to label first, right? And in the ICD-10, it makes sense because it's in the front. You start there, it's in the front of the book, then you go back to all these little tabbies to find the grade that you need, right? Now in the CPT manual, that's flip-flopped. The alphabetic index is actually in the back of the book. So,
Oh, that's smart.
so,
Bruh.
um, So you always start at the alphabetic index regardless of where it is in the book, okay, when you're working on coding. But labeling your manual is very, very important. It's going to save y'all a flippin' ton of time. I don't know any professional coders who have manuals and have not labeled them in some form or fashion to help them get to the sections that they need to a lot quicker. And you're not going to label your manual one time. It's going to change. You're probably going to do it, and then you're going to later on, when you get deeper into it, you're going to go, man, maybe I should have labeled it like this, and you're probably going to redo it. And years down the road, if you go to work and you're in a certain specialty, you may have just one section that you're labeling constantly for stuff that you use a lot, right? Now, using the manuals is what we call cold coding, okay? We're reading a scenario and we're just doing it cold from start to finish, basically, okay? Most of the time in the job place today, your software, your EHR systems like SimChart and things like that will provide codes for you or help you figure out the codes. A lot of these EHR systems, the practice has already put in the codes that they use a lot, that they file a lot. Those codes are already in the system and set up, okay? So a lot of the time when you're going in and you're putting in things, it's going to automatically populate for you, and you're not going to have to use this manual, but every so often. Like, really. Like, I don't think I used one the first 4 years that I was in the billing industry, because I was doing more billing with just a little bit of coding here and there. And I had a coder that helped me out with things. But there were times that I did have to dig through the manual because she didn't have time to help me or whatever. So I had to learn it on the fly, which the first time you open this book, you're going to be like, OMG, what did I sign up for? Okay? Don't let it overwhelm you guys. It's not, once you get used to it, it's cake. All of my students say that. At the beginning, you're stressed out and it's overwhelming. And you're like, what did I sign up for? But as you do things, and you'll notice a lot of repetition in the next like 2 months for the next 2 or 3 modules. It's going to be all coding pretty much. And you're going to notice a lot of repetition. You're coding. All of your exercises are coding. All of your tests are coding. It's a lot of repetition because that's what it takes to figure out coding. It takes doing it over and over and over again and getting used to these manuals, getting used to the words, the verbiage, and things like that, okay? But it's not, guys, one day you're going to be doing this and it's going to all click. It's just going to click and you're going to be like, oh, I got this. So that's why there's so much repetition of it, and you'll get tired of it before the end of it. I know you will. Everybody does. But that's what it takes to get y'all in that frame of mind, to get it clicking, okay? To get it down pat to where y'all are comfortable going into a workplace and talking about coding when somebody's asking you about coding in an interview. You'll be able to, yes, I did ICD-10, CPT, and HCPCS coding. I learned those manuals, and you know, I can do what I need to do. So we want you to be comfortable with that. So your first step is going to be the labeling, like I said. Some basic tips for labeling. Start at the very beginning of the book, and I mean before page 1. Like, there's a section that has Roman numerals, and those are basically reference pages for different things. Some of it's medical terminology. Some of it is anatomical illustrations. Some of it, there's an E&M chart at the beginning of the CPT manual that is flippin' gold, because it helps you break down the medical necessity, decision making, and all that kind of stuff. So that is gold. You definitely want to label that. So start at the very, very beginning of the book, before page 1, well before page 1. Start with anything that you think is going to be useful to you. One of the best things that we do is we stagger the labels for easy viewing. And that just means putting them, in a line and not right on top of each other to where you can't see each tab. Okay? And here's the other thing. There is no right or wrong way to label your manual. like I said, you're probably going to do it and then redo it later because you're going to figure out what works best for you. I have relabeled my particular manual 3 times since I started at Unitech because I had it done one way, and I talked to another instructor and she showed me something and I was like, hey, that might work better. So I changed it. I changed it. And you add and remove labels all the time. And that's okay. You're gonna figure out what works best for you. And that's you proceed like that. Okay? Alright. Alright, so as an example of the reference stuff that can be found in the front of the book, this is in your ICD-10 CM, symbols and conventions. Y'all will notice once y'all start looking in the tabular sections at the codes that there are symbols and signs and acronyms and all kind of things. Some stuff that's highlighted. There's like 4 different colors that they highlight things in, and they each mean a different thing. Each symbol means a different thing. And that is spelled out for you what each of those things means in the beginning of the book. It's one of those reference pages. Also, in CPT and ICD-10-CM, you have at the bottom of the pages, there is like an index, kind of like a little chart that shows you all the signs and symbols, and it's abbreviated, kind of like a reference chart at the bottom of every single page to help you with that, okay? But the full meanings can be found in the beginning of the book. Let's see. I don't think I want to get into the steps for accurate coding at this time. I think we are going to cover that more either next week or the week after when y'all actually get into ICD-10-CM and start that process. We're probably going to do it next week because I think y'all do ICD-10-CM the following week. So I want it to be fresh in your head as to what steps you need to take. But this is about the time also when I start doing coding workshops. Just extra practice because some people just want that. That is really hard for me to do right now given that I have the kiddo home for the summer. But so I'm not going to try to do it at night, but I will try to do it maybe on like Tuesday afternoons probably. That's usually the best thing. I may try to do it on Tuesday afternoons. We might start that either probably week after next, not next week, but the week after. Once we actually start really getting into coding and y'all are starting to see it in your exercises and they're asking you to look up stuff in your manuals. But now is the time to break those out and just, like I said, guys, start playing with them if nothing else. Because they are, this is the bulk of what you're here to learn is the coding part of this job. And that's where the money's at. Okay? I hate to say it because I'm a billing girl, but coding is where that's where you're going to make your money in this field. If you want to go that route. And the people that make the most money are people that specialize in Medicare. If you're a Medicare specialist, because there's just so much of it. There's so much Medicare out there. Patients that are using Medicare, our elderly population is exploding nonstop. So people are living longer and longer. And those are the people that go to the doctor the most, the elderly and the sick folk. So Medicare is the biggest, the largest insurer in the country. So if you can, and their coding is pretty specific. If you can get down some Medicare coding, get some experience with that, that's money. That's a meal ticket. Just a little helpful tip there. Just a little helpful tip. But yeah, start in the alphabetic index and just start looking stuff up. And just to go into a little bit of detail about the books, okay? Your ICD-10, that stands for International Classification of Diseases, okay? So these are going to be codes for diseases and conditions and illnesses, okay? It's going to be what's wrong with the patient, what they're there for, that kind of thing. Your CPT manual is current procedural terminology. Those are procedure codes. That's what is the patient having done. Okay, do y'all see the difference there? ICD-10 is what's wrong with the patient, and CPT is what we're doing for the patient or have done for the patient. Office visit, testing, evaluations, consultations, all that kind of stuff, any kind of procedures that they perform on the patient is going to be covered in CPT. And again, HCPCS is all about the Medicare. It's taking the codes from ICD-10 and CPT and turning them into a different code for Medicare use, basically. And we have a chapter on HCPCS. So y'all will get very familiar with these books, I promise. Any questions so far about CPT, any of the manuals? Everybody got their manuals, right?
I do have a question.
Which guy?
Since I started in 2023,
Uh-huh.
I get the whole we got stock and we're trying to get rid of what we got. I mean, I'm manager Burger King. I get that whole concept. Is there any way I could get an updated 2023 manual?
You don't
Or
need
my
it.
manual's updated. It doesn't matter. There's really
No.
no difference.
No.
Okay.
I don't think there was any major updates done this year as far as the manuals, but no, your 2022 manuals will be just fine. Yeah, you are more than welcome to go buy a 2023 manual if you want. I think you can now get them on Amazon. They're like $150.
See, my only
Somewhere around there.
thing on that was I'm spending the money out of pocket for this class. I figured maybe I could get the most up to date, information through the class.
Well, when did you
know,
start, Ryan?
this year. It was in March.
In March. That's
Yes,
about
ma'am.
the time they start issuing the 2023 manuals, is in March.
That's what I
So
figured.
you
Not when I got
probably
my
just
box.
missed that cutoff. Probably
Yeah.
just missed that. But I can ask, but I doubt it because, like I said, the manual. The only thing that changes in these manuals is when there's a code change, when there's an update. They may have added in monkeypox. That's about the only major thing that happened last year that I can recall that where codes were created. So that may be a thing. But here's the other thing, guys. When y'all go to work, if your employer provides you a manual, you're lucky. You're lucky because they're so expensive. I had my first job. I was using manuals that were 5, 6, 7 years old because the company wouldn't buy us updated manuals. And here's the deal: they don't really need to because all the changes are listed on the internet. Everything's on the internet, and like I said, the coding manuals, you are only going to use them once in a blue moon. Like, we teach it because it's the basis of coding, but when y'all go into the workforce, you may never look in another manual again. Realistically. So that's the deal with the manuals. You can go to the AMA's website or CMS's website, cms.gov, and get all of the updates, like to the day. If there were codes created today, it's going to be on there and you can see it. But again, I'll ask. That's not a problem.
Well, with all that being said, I mean, I guess it doesn't seem so bad, but as far as the changes go, I get that's our responsibility to keep up with those. I guess my question is going to be more taken to how do we know when there's a change? And then, I guess you just dropped the AMA website. That's where to go to find the change.
Right.
But how do we know when there is a change? We just got to stay current with events.
Basically, there are certain, now, here's another thing too. It kind of depends on what specialty you work in. Now, if you go to work for, say, a general practitioner, a PCP of some sort, and they handle a little bit of everything, then you're going to see a little bit of everything. But when you file claims, as changes are made, they'll start, if a change is made that you haven't caught on to, the claim will reject. It'll come right back to you, and you'll be like, oh, I need to look into this. And there you go. You hit your website, you figure out what changed, and you refile, and you make note of it. Usually, it's funny because in coding and billing offices, you sit, a lot of times you sit in a cubicle or an office, and there are notes flipping everywhere, sticky notes, shortcut papers. It just depends on what you deal with. And you can sign up on CMS and AMA's websites for periodic updates. They'll send out newsletters of big changes that went into effect and things like that. So you can be notified of it right up front before you're filing claims and they're coming back to you. But claims coming back, y'all, like, you don't want it to happen a lot. You will always want to be as accurate and efficient as you can be, but it's going to happen. It's going to happen, and it's common. It's common. We just don't want it coming back multiple times, you know? Things are going to change without our notice, because who's got time to go sit on the AMA's website and wait for something to change, right? So things are going to happen without your notice, but it won't be any time before you catch on to it. Because like I said, the claim's going to come right back. The clearinghouses or the insurance company is going to let you know, hey, something hinky about this one, we can't pay it. Look further into it. And you just look further into it and figure it out. You know. And a lot of times, a little bit of internet research or looking in the manual, possibly even talking to a coworker who's been there longer than you, is gold. They can offer a lot of information. And there should be, when you get into a position, somebody who's going to sit down with you and, okay, this is our office. This is how we operate. These are the things we see the most. These are the things we need you to be paying attention to the most, you know, etc. And they'll let you know what you need to focus in on. That was a great question, by the way, Ryan. Good question. Any other questions about coding or the manuals or anything like that at this time?
I have a question.
What you got?
Okay, so whenever we do take our exam and everything, being that they don't want us to have like sticky notes, what is like a good way that we can label everything in our book so we won't lose track of it?
Wait, one more time?
Like, I know like in the beginning of the program you had said that whenever we go to take our like certification that we can't have no sticky notes in our book.
Right.
So like, what is like a good way that we can keep that memorized without having to keep the sticky notes in?
Keep what memorized?
Like, what each part of the section that.
Oh, the tab? You mean the tabs?
Mm-hmm.
You can have tabs. Tabs are not sticky notes. Labeling
okay.
your binder is not cheating.
Okay.
You can have your tabs, your organizational system. You cannot have notes on codes.
Okay.
But you shouldn't need notes on codes. Because here's one thing. A lot of my students think, how am I going to remember all this? You don't. You do not. Don't waste your time trying to memorize these codes. That is literally a waste of your time and a waste of your brain power. That is what the manual is for. You're not going to remember all this. You will, once you get into a position and you start seeing the same stuff over and over again, you'll recognize it. Like, I can tell you right off jump, because I did it for so many years, that a 99201 is an E&M code for an office visit. I saw it forever. I coded it forever, so I know it off the top of my head. Now, here's something else. While I was working in the field, 99201 became obsolete, basically. They changed the way they formatted E&M codes to the way they figured out the timing and medical decision making for E&M codes, and 99210 or 201 is really no longer used. Now it's 99211, 221, and so on and so forth. There are more higher level codes that we use than that particular code. And again, y'all, that comes when you get into a position and you start to see the same things over and over again. It just really all depends on who and where you go to work. But no, your tabs, you can have your tabs. You just cannot have notes. No, but your little post-it tabbies, like I showed
I
you in
don't
the
know why I
picture,
thought that was the
those you
same
can
thing.
have those. But I've got a link to those on Amazon on the y'all see there's a new page added to e-learning called um, coding workshops or coding resources or something like that. And the link for those little sticky tabs to label it is on there for Amazon, or you can get them at the Dollar Tree, get them at Walmart, wherever sells office supplies. You can get those little tabs from. They're super cheap, but a lifesaver. Lifesaver. Yeah. Another little helpful trick and tip. When y'all open up your manual, you'll see that it has this extra little flappy deal, right? Don't rip this off. You can if you want to, but it's super helpful to save your place. Because like I said, sometimes you're going to look something up in the alphabetic index and you're going to have to go to the tabular section and it might not be the right thing. You might have to go back to the alphabetic index. So I always use that thing to mark a place for me. You know, it's just I only have two hands and I'm trying to look in three different places in a book. So I use it to mark your spot. So super helpful little built-in flap, I guess, if you want to call it that. All right. So that's a basic overview about your manuals, guys. ICD-10 for diseases and illnesses, CPT for your procedure codes, and HCPCS for your Medicare stuff. That's the basic breakdown of it. And we will get deeper into the different sections in these books and how they're a little bit more on how they're set up. Most everything, all of your information in these books is either in alphabetical or numerical order. Codes starting at 00000 and ending at 999999. They're all in numerical order, okay? And also alphabetical within there. So it's not super hard once you get the hang of it. You just gotta get in and get the hang of it, and y'all will. I've had very few students, like maybe one or two, that were just like, I can't do this. This is beyond my scope. I can't do it. Because it's not, like I said, I'm pretty good at teaching it. Once we get the ball rolling and we get deeper into it, y'all will see what I'm talking about. There's a process, and as long as you follow the little process, you're going to be golden. And plus, y'all are a smart group of folks. So I'm not worried about y'all. Y'all will get this, no problem. All right, any questions or concerns? Any other? Great question, Angel. Anybody else? All right, and a couple more y'all pop in on me. I want to make sure I get y'all written down. I think it was Tia and Michelle. Okay. As y'all know, e-learning's been down most of the day today. I haven't been able to get in and do a lot of stuff. I'm supposed to turn in your grades for 151 by 5. I don't know if that's going to be a thing or not. Everybody is pretty much finished up with 151, so good job. Most of y'all got A's, a few B's, so congratulations and well done on that. And the fun is going to begin. We're going to get into the coding in 152 and go from there, really get into the meat and potatoes of it. So, with e-learning being down, if it's throwing y'all a big error screen, try clearing your cookies and your cache, and your browsing data, all that stuff. And sometimes that helps it kind of reboot. And then start fresh. Close everything out and start fresh. And if that doesn't help, guys, just give it some time, because they are working. IT department is working on the problem. It is up right now, but it's running super slow. And I have stuff that's timing out on me, and I've got like a stupid internet plan. I've got lots of bandwidth, and it's timing out on me still. So I know it's gonna be timing out for some of y'all. Um, so just maybe try again in a couple of hours, give it some time. Like I said, try starting fresh. Sometimes that helps. Um, and if y'all get to the point where y'all are just completely frustrated because you can't upload anything, you can't save anything, don't forget that you can always leave stuff in the comments if upload's not working. And you can also email me your assignments. I just ask that if you email me assignments, make sure that they are labeled with what day and assignment that they are. You know, 4 of 30, because 152 is 30 days long. 4 of 30 daily or lab. Okay. Your exam for chapter 1 is open and it is tomorrow. And it's gonna be about the same format as all your other exams, guys. Some multiple choice, maybe some fill in the blank, a couple of true and false here and there, but not too much. I don't care for true and false. I find them to be tricky, unnecessarily tricky sometimes. So I try and only do a few of those here and there. But your exam is tomorrow. So, any other questions or concerns about anything at this time?
On Thursdays, like for today, on the lab, do we need to submit a picture or something, just anything to upload on the lab so that it doesn't give us an automatic F? Or, cause I've got an F from the last module on my last lab for our Thursday meeting. And I think that's the second time, if I remember correctly. So I was just wondering what's going on with it.
Y'all have got to catch this stuff before the module ends, man.
I was like,
Once
I
the
was giving you
module
time to
ends,
get done with it. Cause I've got
my hands
4
get
of
really
those
tired
graded.
really fast once the module ends and I've turned stuff in. So y'all got to try to let me know before everything is closed out what you might be missing or incorrect. I'm human. I do make mistakes. Ryan, I think if you're talking about in 151,
Yes, ma'am.
I don't think I've even graded the last day's labs.
I was gonna say there's a couple of them that, you know, among that last lab that weren't graded. That's why I was trying not to say nothing. I don't want to jump the gun, but at the same time, like you said, it's due
Right.
today, I think.
Right, definitely. And like I said, today I'm trying to finish all that up, get all those grades in, and the system is giving me crap. So I'm working on it. But no, I don't think that I did the grades for last week's lab yet. I don't think I have. I think I had started to concentrate on the exams to help y'all do your retakes for the exams, and I had kind of let the regular grading go for a day or two. And now, of course, we're having system issues. So great. It's life, unfortunately. But I will see about getting in there. And yeah, go ahead. It never hurts to leave a comment and say I attended this thing. That'll help me out. Then I don't have to go back and look at my list and stuff like that. Be like, great.
All right. I just want to make sure, because I remember in that last meeting you said, "Don't worry about it. You don't have to do nothing." And I saw that, and I was just like, "Okay, maybe this is wrong."
No, definitely. Shoot me a text message. Reach out, man.
Will do.
Don't be afraid to reach out. I never hear from you other than in Zoom. So when you see something like that, please reach out. You don't have to wait till Thursdays. If you see something like that, let me know that I made a mistake. I am human. I am the first person to admit that when I flub the dub, right? So, but yeah, I'll go in as soon as I can get in and check that stuff. I'll check that for you, Ryan. But no, I know that you've been at every Zoom, I think, since you started. I don't think there's been one you haven't been at.
Yeah, not have been one, but if that, it would only be one at that point. I try to make it one.
Very good. Very good. And I appreciate that. Because I know half the time you're at work. So, it is appreciated, sir. All right. Any other questions or concerns, y'all? Great question, Ryan, by the way. Anything else we need to discuss for today or this week? We are going to be off for June 19th, for Juneteenth. No class that day. And also the Tuesday of 4th of July. So y'all there will be formal announcements. In fact, I even made the Juneteenth thing, and I don't think I posted it. But have that ready to go, and just so y'all can make your holiday plans. We are off on Tuesday, but we will still have class on Monday. So just bear that in mind when you're making your holiday stuff for 4th of July. But, all right. Well, if y'all don't have anything else for me, guys, like I said, get to know your manuals, have fun with it, look up crazy stuff. You can find some really crazy stuff, especially in the ICD-10. Injuries, y'all. Horse-drawn carriage. There's a code for if you get run over by a horse-drawn carriage. Water skiing accidents, dog accidents. I mean, just crazy crap, crazy stuff. But you'll get into that. You'll see it when we start digging in. All right. If y'all don't have anything else for me, y'all have a lovely weekend. Stay safe and healthy. And thank you for your time, as always.
Have a good weekend.
You too, Ryan. Bye, Jackie. Enjoy that baby.
Thank you.
Have a good weekend.
You too, LaDavery. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.